we had 7,337 protests. That's the second most we've ever had. And 5,297 of those protests were filed online, which DOTCOMM helps us out with a lot. I mean, that number alone would have been, I want to check for the meeting, but I mean, that'd be one of our higher years alone, just having 5,300 protests through the online system. And it was really smooth. I mean, really only 2 times I could think of that maybe didn't get resolved quickly, but one of them was like a county-wide deal. The other one I think is just an aberration considering all the other times when we needed something usually got fixed or addressed pretty quickly, which is nice for us because normally it's like, you know, BOE, it's weird. It's a very short, you know, it's only basically 3 months, but we spend a lot of time, not even 3 months, we spend a lot of time preparing for it. And then when a problem happens, it's usually you're dealing with an unhappy constituent. So getting it fixed as fast as we can is DOTCOMM always you know, comes through usually, you know, more overall majority of the time they act with urgency, so I appreciate it. So the team leads were John Riviera and Jeff Moore. He's no longer with DOTCOMM, but just want to thank them. Salesforce is an application you use a lot, or what? Again, it's the main application you use for board formation. And Rich Oak and folk here at Media Coda are very big help with that. I remember Sean Powers, it was probably April, he reached out to me and said, you know, Rich had like been with DOTCOMM and left after last year. And then Sean said, you know, we actually think Rich is going to come back or he'd be available to come back. Do you think we need him for BOE? And my answer was something like, well, it'd be great to have him back, but if you're, you know, I can answer your question literally. I'm not sure if it's a need. It'd be great. I just like to say I was wrong. He did a lot. Like we do a lot of testing on our own, and I just, for whatever reason, this year we had a lot come up, and we just weren't able to. Like a lot of clerk's office staff, we just were able to do the testing that we normally do on our own. So having having Rich there to do it for us. I mean, I thought this year, like obviously we expect things to improve year after year, but I thought the jump in improvement from last year to this year was like even greater from when we first implemented Salesforce for the second year. So Rich deserves a lot of credit for that. The user accounts, we had Eric Beckel and Carrie Straub were big help. Andy Judkins with telephones. Then with the website, so it's a little different from Salesforce. But so Jim Delinsky and pretty far up with that. And so a lot of it's like after the fact, we have during too, we have like a search that people can use to see what the assessor's office is giving the records. Then afterwards, there's even more stuff. It's what you submit to the referee, the comments from the referees, the notifications that basically notify someone of the decision that call goes out there, and they move over. Like if you have an online account, so I'll back up. The difference of the search during BOE, for any protest, you can find what the assessor's office is giving to the referee. But if you want to see what you've submitted, if you have an online account, that only shows up on your online account, it won't show up on the search. That's on the website during the season. Then after I call it the season. Then after the protests are approved, Jim and Pradeep got to move everything off the Salesforce application onto the online search. And there's like all sorts of files. I mean, it's not, you know, it's PDFs, Excel, Word docs, JPEGs. I mean, so it's like, I'm sure it's not easy to, and there's people who like, you know, it'd be nice if it was just like one document with 20 pictures on it. Well, people will literally upload 20 pictures, you know? And so Jim's got to basically, you got to work to combine all that in one document that shows up on the search after the fact. So, and with the notifications, Dennis Jasinski and John Simone's. So anyway, just appreciate DOTCOMM's help with BOE as always. And then joint public hearing. If you all remember last year, the vendor we used, if you got a postcard in the mail, it had your address on the front, then you turn it over and it was someone else's property information in the back. And I don't like using the word disaster, but that was just it's awful. So we did it in-house this year with DOTCOMM, and they got it right. And I appreciate them also. Like, there were some parts where I was probably a little too micromanaging, but after what happened last year, I feel like I don't care. For myself, to make sure they were very understanding. And that was Dennis Dajensky, John Simones, Kevin Higgins, Roger Reese, Gary Nataby, and Sean Keenan. And then the day of, we streamed the meeting, which had to be at night. By law, it's got to be at night. And then we also had a QR code for people that could pull up like the presentations. And Jeff Ackley did all that. So appreciate Jeff putting in some long hours that day. And real quick, speaking of long hours, there's some people at DOTCOMM that's on June 30th. That's the deadline to protest. And we keep, people can file protests online all the way up until 11:59 p.m. So we have DOTCOMM people kind of on call in case something goes wrong, which nothing did this year, but just the fact that they make themselves available late for the night. It's appreciated. So I just want to thank you very much.
Well, Dave, thank you for saying something and for understanding of how it's one of the more public and emotional topics that's out there when we talk about citizens. So to have a partnership where it works well together, it goes both ways. So we appreciate working with you very much. And I have been assured by Greg that AI is going to solve the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's going to read everyone's mind and we'll know the protest before it happens.
Open world, and he said, "Well, I figured there'd be a lot of FBI stuff there, but he was blown away."
Yeah.
How much? So yeah, I know it's.
We're going to talk a little bit about it. I'm obviously tongue in cheek, but maybe it'll help. So,
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Dan. I guess we should do roll call for attendance at least, so we know who's here. Should we do that? Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Okay, thank you. Do you have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 19th meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Redmond,
Second.
second by Chin. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with new business.
Just a reminder of our node strategy. As we shifted at the beginning of the year, just going to go through these one by one. I'll just say as an overall editorial, we've made a lot of progress on most of these. You'll see a common thread here that a lot of these have kicked off their task force meetings with a full task force of people that are focused on trying to move each one of these forward. So we'll go through these one by one.
I'll go ahead and start. So our first one up is the DOC. So it's DOTCOMM Operations Center. This is really where that hub is. It incorporates the service desk, the desktop, as well as desktop engineering for the enterprise pieces. Currently, they're working on a number of priorities. Those are listed. We are working to get a number of the key initiatives of the future piece done. One of those key initiatives really is that Windows 11 push out. So we get way ahead of the needle for Windows 10 obsolescence. So that's what it's paying in early bird testing. So we'll have some more communication on that for your department. And that's to get a little bit or a few more people from each of the departments that are out there, maybe the 70+ departments that we work with, to get them in that early bird. So when we push updates, they can test their stuff prior to being acquired. So we can attack any of those known issues. Discover issue. Any questions? So as we look at stats and SLAs, we did have one P1 or P2 outage, excuse me, and that was Cox. It was human error. They were putting in a second circuit. They were not authorized to do any changes, but they went ahead turn on the circuit, which is active in the existing circuit. So that has been, we rectified that, back that back out. So in fact, we are putting in that redundant circuit, but it should be a little bit more process.
When is that?
That was the end of September. It was like the 2020.
And that was unrelated to the 911 outage, right?
It was not related at all to that.
It was pretty isolated.
It was after everything got turned up, so it affected, and actually, so that outage, it was the network. So the people at the Civic Center Hall adjusted the downtown floor really didn't realize it. It was those outbuildings. So it was the network aspects of the connection between here and police precinct or public works or yes, it was not related. 911 does not traverse farming. We'll look at the tickets open. So we put in sales or SolarWinds as we go. We're getting that integrated in with Salesforce so we can be proactive. And so this is just really one of those pieces that we're tracking is making sure that we're proactive and able to respond to outages prior to client calling. We're looking at desktop operations. So this is the Windows 10, Windows 11. The top one, top left, is Windows PCs that are currently on Windows 11. Next one over to the right, to go clockwise, that is the number of PCs that are ready for Windows 11, and then those will be communicated with each of the departments. We'll reach out to you and say, hey, looks like you're available for Windows upgrades. We'll work with you on staging those. Then the one on below that are the ones that are prior to Windows 10, so those are going to be in XP, so those are the ones that have other systems running on them that are not seeing upgrade to the versions. We're working with those departments initially to upgrade those or sunset those applications. And then the left ones on the bottom, those are the ones with the 10 upgrades, and those are disruptive. So there's two versions of, or many versions of Windows 10. One's a disruptive one is where it actually will cut down the system, and you'll have to do a hard upgrade versus a soft upgrade, a diagonal one. It's just a simple upgrade. Look at the SLAs, everything is still proceeding, so 90% is what our target is. And this is the call stat for the service center. So we are calling in, we really look at that first call resolution, that red line. We'd like to keep that above that 60%. So that's doing good, and we are down for the calls abandoned rate, bottom blue one. Behind the scenes issue. No action. We look at the IRO, that's the next one. So that's really the infrastructure side. So server, storage, facilities, and network. That's what makes the IRO. I won't go through it. You guys can read the dots themselves. One of the ones that I will point out, the server patching, the target size is 95%. So that one is a new software that we put in to automate the server patching. So we are doing server patching, otherwise, but this is an automation process. We're working with each of the individual clients and those users to put it into a schedule so that we can do that on a regular basis versus doing it ad hoc again, coming in and saying, maybe you need to do an upgrade and then I can do that way. And that number actually, last number we looked at was close to 70%, so it's getting better. Projects closed, a number of them on there, and then the active projects. So that are out there. Yeah, questions? And these are project requests.
What's the red one?
So the red one is HR data integration. So we're taking the AD Act, trying to get the information that's collected by the city and the county HR departments, and then which we select in our system and merge them. It acts as a record so that we have better data of who's actually here when they were terminated, and there's some other attributes in there. So great location.
The good news about that project is it's been a long time coming. It was close, but I just made decisions that put in red if there's something that is causing a problem. as you can imagine, it's cost structure, a lot of players that we have to get to collaborate and get that done. But there's a lot of good things coming out of that project, but trying to be very transparent about, hey, we're waiting on a thing until we can resolve that thing.
On that, again, it's working with both the city and the county HR departments to make sure that their data is ready for that integration. So it's nothing in there that's alarming or that we check out. And then the project requests, again, a lot of the project requests we have out there right now are joint, which is understandable. And you can see it's mostly on the library side, which again, transitioning anything over to joint is waste of money for work. And then CAP is not what for me, free, that's a key food board, and that's everything that we do on your behalf, in the county on the system, making changes into what you making sure that the changes that we do are stable and they're achieved. And you can see the graph individually put in there. Again, that's everything that we're doing. Hold on, the changes for years. And then, any questions for those?
All right. So this will be my first time recording with PMO. Our last July meeting transition totally over to me. We'll be recording with the cost model projects. With the PMO, a lot of things happening. I was just going to highlight under the key initiatives. We are looking at the project request process. For those of you who were on Diane's IT advisory group, we went through that in detail, but essentially that's just the front end of requesting out of a project. And we just had gotten a lot of feedback from a client communication standpoint that we needed to make some improvements there, and just the length of time and visibility and even our staff. So key focus there is client communications. Some of the major changes we are making is that we will be assigning a project manager right up front when that request goes in. Historically, it has waited till a project went active, so there's kind of a gap there. We are creating basically a picture that shows you guys the steps that a project request goes through. So it comes in, we have a discovery meeting, and then we talk about resources potentially needed, and if it gets prioritized, we bring it. You will see all the way through that process where your project sits, so you can always just pull it up and look at that. That project manager that's assigned will be also communicating to everyone who has a project request in. That was some of the feedback, is that people put requests in. And we've seen the numbers. You've seen the numbers, right? There's a lot of requests out there. So sometimes those requests sit out there for a really long time. And people are like, black hole, we put it in, we didn't hear anything. So this project manager will be communicating on a regular basis. And this will be communicating from them, not an automated email, which is what we had done with students. And then internally, there's a number of steps that we have put in there that we found added no value. So we're getting rid of that, streamlining a little bit, looking to roll that out at the beginning of November. So if you put your project request in after that time period, you'll get to experience the process. The other thing is around Smart Sheet. And a lot of that is internal. I would say customer facing bit of that is there's going to be a project dashboard, so that there'll be one place for everyone to go. You'll be able to see where your project is. These are for active projects. See all the details around your project hours summary. If you look at the total there on the far column on the right, we are at about 80% of where we had projected to be for the year, and this was closed last week, so almost right on track. I figured through the third quarter would be 75%. We're right on track, and actually both city and county are looking really good too. Our shared numbers are a little bit light, but clearly those hours we're going for the city and county projects. All in all, it's changed a fair amount from the beginning of the year on this one, so feeling good about where we are. Next one. So these next couple of pages, and if you guys got the packet ahead, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this. This just shows still have a very healthy queue coming in. We have a healthy queue going out. That number there, as far as the bottom right-hand pie chart, 53 active, that is the word you used to use, Kelly, but basically kind of in the range where we felt where it should be, where we were comfortable. And more analysis will happen on that in terms of there's just a lot behind that number. If you look at type of project, right, as far as how many really the organization can handle. Next page. And then this just again gives more details. Looking at close, the top two charts are interesting in that the plan starts and the estimated closes look at October. Look very similar in terms of that color breakdown are from what organization, so if it's city, county, or enterprise. So those that are closing and those that are starting are very similar. And then the closed projects for September, just to comment on those. So this is where we want to do a little bit more celebrating, right, when we start closing projects. So just to run through really quickly. So the top one there is the Youth Center Case Management System Selection. That is a project that was going on for a long time. It's about 18 months. That has been selected. Now the next project is a place to implement that. So we'll be implementing that case management. The lock screen password, that was a .com initiated project, and that is just giving people the capability to change your passwords on your own. VoIP and adult probation, and then the lead management dust over. Good projects.
All right, thanks, actually, architecture review board, so that part of DOTCOMM that works with all the other teams on upcoming new things as well as roadmaps. So from the roadmap side of it, we've got 3-year strategic roadmaps we've been working on this last year. We approved one to move forward. That's the operations team. We're currently working with the infrastructure team. So that season of those is almost complete. Next year, we're going to look at how we're doing those as well as what we want to get out of them next year. So kind of an annual iteration. From the updates from the ARV side, continuing around discussions with City of Omaha Parks and Rec. They're switching out payment processors. So from the city with Donna Ballard and team to using the vendor's payment processing system. And while doing that, they're switching up a couple other things. So we're working with the department to make sure that they've got a clear vision from the technology side, taking advantage of anything that they do now to become more PCI compliant or more prepared for PCI 4.0 or the future as they do that. So one of the items is actually pulling servers from our data center and potentially hosting them in the cloud with the vendor, as well as changing up a couple of other things to mitigate our risk, as well as making them have a cost-efficient better solution. So we've actually engaged a PCI QSA organization, GuidePoint, which is a security partner that we have, using their resources and able to help us out with some of this. So anytime you adjust anything specifically around payment cards, it's really important to take a look at the whole solution and help make it the best you can. So, other items, last month we had an incident response item that we worked on, a tabletop exercise at DOTCOMM. Things went pretty well. It was about an 1.5 hour exercise with the teams. Next time we're going to do those towards the end of the year. We're going to include other things with more of a disaster recovery type of thought in there. So from Derek's point of view, what he's going to have to do to handle media requests, other types of things like that, as well as some of the personnel items within the teams. Where's our primary, our secondary response, and making sure that we got some depth other than just sending all the rock stars to the table and saying, hey, how are you going to do during an event? Putting in a little bit of a more rigor into that. So.
Contract review board side, there's something about that. You can make your point of comment if you're going to say 36. But ending, you can share with them the contracts that people have to say 4 ways. Their auditors take a look at it. So already working through with their year-end close. To be able to make some references on space. From other points of interest from a conduct dialogue. Originally, we had planned mid-October to move that, but as a result of my ability to continue on testing and getting those changes to DT, so we can make those a bit of a slowdown space on the preparation. But the intent there is to continue to leverage Salesforce, where all of our contracts are located now, but just moving them over to Compass and give us a bit of improvement on the flow.
All right, and then the service delivery conduit, if you recall, this is the group that looks across all of DOTCOMM, largely process efficiency focus that we rolled out in the spring. A lot of things going on there in terms of looking, low hanging fruit is looking at any of the forms and making sure that we can automate those. A lot of involvement with that project request process, looking at the procurement process. So we've been working with Eric Carlson in purchasing and looking at both the city, the county, and internal DOTCOMM in terms of defining that process. Also spending time looking at the self-service portal. And because this group is looking across everything, we've kind of shifted the reporting of SLA. So Bob talked about the 1P2, right? This is looking at across all of DOTCOMM. So the month for September, the red line, everything's above. So there was nothing that fell below that for our SLAs. The next chart is the eye chart. I'm sure you guys studied it. If you have any questions, we can talk about that. Next one. And the one project there is that customer portal, and it is in red just because it's been out there a long time. We actually have a change request in right now, so that will be turning to green, and we can give you more information on that once that change request is approved. That's it. It moves over to the client experience.
All right, for the resource management task force, it's just one thing to introduce somebody. So Brenda Henderson is our new finance manager. We were able to bring her on board in August. Brenda, in a very short period of time, has been an impact player for us. So some of the things that we'll talk about related to looking at the data that we have available for our 5-year financials, looking at it from a retrospect, being able to put that into a data model that allows us to spin that, looking at it from different slices. Just those simple things like that to be able to visualize the data that we've always wanted to. So we're going to hey, can you show me this? To where's your data at? Here it is. And now it's delivered. And now we're getting insights from that analytics already that help us think about what does that next 5 years look like. And so the primary focus of this resource management node is just to do that. So to change the dialogue that we have, instead of just looking at it from a current fiscal year or next fiscal year, being able to stretch that time horizon out to talk about it in that 3 to 5 year window. So some of the things that we know from our IT investments is they're not so moving, and there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. So being able to get that on the roadmap and being able to visualize what that potential cost impact looks like is really important for us to do. Still on the project, we have the annual cost of the project. So right now, being able to still look at those proposed changes for 25, but then also being able to look at our 25 proposed budget. So the way that we're able to do that now is within context of that data, because we know that sometimes we'll have a request or proposal that we did want to get 25, but being able to then say, well, is this a 26 expense or even 27? Or is there something that we can do to kind of feather that in over time? Being able to simulate what that looks like and being able to put that around in our environment is really important for us to do. So now with that model, we're able to do those types of things, which only improves again, getting backward into our cost models and all other things from project plans. The other point of note is that with our resource management council, we do have a meeting plan in mid-month next week. So in that, we'll be able to look at what does our 24 forecast look like, what's our preliminary 25 numbers looking like, and then also being able to share some of that 5-year historical. All right, into the dates, the operating income statement. The story here continues to be from a revenue generation or spending, continue to outspend what we're earning from a revenue standpoint. Overall, we're projecting to be in that $300,000 to $350,000 over budget, which DOTCOMM we plan to use our self-funded restricted funds to be able to fund it for this year. And just it's on the slide a little bit, but just to call it out, again, that overage is coming from our contract inflation rates. So being able to look at those and being able to call out even those specific ones of what's driving that number is very interesting.
So I actually did not get to city so close before this, and you said you think you'll be about 300,000 over? Right now, year to date, it looks like you're quite a bit more than that. Am I reading that wrong?
The 928.
That's the cash flow.
Yes, so that you're expecting more inflows that will kind of offset and drop that down.
Yeah, there's some
Okay.
seasonality.
And you're gonna pull into which reserves to cover that? Mary?
So we have one account for all of DOTCOMM, and you can go to the next two slides.
So in our self-restricted funds, this is the revenue that's generated from the OCIO, from the data center hosting.
Oh, okay.
So we've always treated that as, again, self-restricted fund, this is accounts for us. It makes it look like that. So this is what it looks like. That gray line represents where that self-restricted fund is at. And in earlier meetings that we had during the summer, we talked about where we projected to be. And we knew that as we came into this part of the season, we're going to hover right along that line. So this is, again, it's just coming from the roof. And all that's driven by our contractual obligations and those inflationary pressures that weren't accounted for on our contract budget.
And that OCIO funds, the road between state, does that have seasonality to it? Like,
So
like
it's
your
a monthly drip. It's a flat. And again, the drip isn't that much. So that money's been accumulating for a very long period of time just to be able to create that incremental growing cash cushion.
And Kelly mentioned a 5-year retroactive look at kind of where we've been. We'll see that we use those funds other times to not budget overruns of the fund as capital project. So I think that's a good history lesson to show that. Yeah, what does it come in a month? 21. About 21 and 11 of it goes out to the building commission for rent. So we got about 10K a month, and that's fairly consistent. Sort of do the math, right? I mean, it's been years that this has been building up, and that number is even after using some of those funds as to fund those capital projects. So Kelly was alluding to a whole story around the past and where the future is going.
Yeah, again, we start to work like we said earlier, we're putting together a 25 budget now. I mean, if I could have a crystal ball for 18 months from now, about how long they're going to pressure, the cost of some major renewals that haven't yet come in. So, again, trying to manage everything that we can from the DOTCOMM management team within the context of our resources. That's the story for this year.
We'll go through 2.5 years of collections charts. I mean, more like 30, right? 30.
But as Kelly alluded to, there are suggestions on how we can smooth this cash flow out. Right? This isn't. I mean, there's ways we've done it in the past, and there's ways we can think about hopefully this in the future. Especially if we're going to use those funds to fund capital projects, which is always the intent, right? It's money that's self-restricted for a reason. And you only use it to direction.
And
But there's ways we can improve. Sorry, go ahead.
just from a treasury perspective, do you have it at something kind of interest bearing right now?
That was actually.
That was what my first had. Like what rates are at right now?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, if you get to touch it real quick, you can't put the whole chunk in there, but.
As you can see, it's been a while since we've been up to 2-3 million range, right? Where we would have money where I would feel comfortable saying, yeah, put that in.
Right.
Yeah. We would love to be there, right?
Right.
Talk about that, right? In terms of being able to make some money on that. And again, I want to reinforce that we're going to talk about solutions, not problems, right? I mean, there are common sense solutions to smooth this cash flow issue out that just haven't been an issue in the past because we were able to come under budget year after year after year. But as everyone at the state knows who's got budget responsibilities, it's been a rough 18 months.
Actually, receivables, again, things looking good, even since the production on this chart, the ones that were on the far right, 90-day plus for the city, that 88 data, how many was receiving. And overall, from a receivable standpoint, we're all hovering at that 30-day receivable window. So, again, thinking about that from a cash flow and working capital, this is where we're saying there's not a whole lot of there sits out there. It's, a traditional term of delinquent account or something. There. So again, there's usually a story tied to each and every one of those that pushed me on that 30-day on the Plankton Slackville project. And the project work just isn't complete, or there was something that needed to be rectified before for the 9 days of bill. So we can all take on some page with that. Just getting into the hours from a management standpoint, this is where we spend our time. The 140% number. Right down to the different categories that's compared to the 23 forecast. Overall, get close enough to those original projections. Those are the things that are put together as part of the cost model that's acting out for 25. So to think about those projections, that we trigger 18 months from now. So the amazing story. here are the direct support hours and here's the split. So when we look at the split of mobile hours across incident service requests, projects, you know, we end up right now, and this is where I called Julie and I said, hey, I did this chart. I don't know if I did it right, but it's lining exactly with where the cost is from that B5 to B5 split. And went back and looked, and it's just where the hours are shaping up. So all those individual tickets and all those individual projects with DOTCOMM employees bringing their time against, you know, and throw it all back up. This is realistic.
And I'm covering these for that is out of date. Nothing really, nothing that moved the needle here. Turnover, with respect to employees, you know, we do have a little more turnover in our less tenured employees, but nothing at this point. And then the next chart just kind of shows, we show this every month. You might ask, well, why do we show this? We show it because it is we like to make it clear to our employees that recognition and appreciation for each other is really important. So we take pride in making sure that we're telling each other, hey, thank you, good job, really did a good job. And set the tone today, right? Say, hey, we're just stand up and recognize people today. So they help out, go above and beyond. So this is how we measure that, and we show this to our employees. We encourage this a lot because it makes a difference in the culture that you produce as a result, which then trickles down and we see it in our interactions with our clients as well. So it's all a system. All right, great.
On the technology risk task force side, this was previously the security team, but we've expanded. So we've had a primary first task force meeting, which is really an extension from a previous meeting, but that was in August. So on that, I got everyone together, started showing the baseline of how the meetings would work, how things would flow. But the next item for that is a risk register. So just as you guys have risk registers in your different business, trying to keep track of things, generally it would be revenue or other types of impact. For DOTCOMM, it's what's going to impact the city, county departments from the technology side of things. So we've got this list of a few different items out there that we're currently looking at and filtering those in. As Kelly mentioned, 2025 cost model, other items, making sure that we account for things that we need to do for maintenance, as well as things that we need to do to make the city, county better from requests from all your different departments. So since we moved over to this, Mike Dornicke had actually reached out and had us talk at the last county risk management meeting. So Kelly and I attended that meeting and we gave them an overview of what DOTCOMM was accomplishing and what we were doing specifically with the risk management program. So that was well received. I think they asked to see us back again someday in the future. So one of the items going on right now, and it's an annual item that happens with both city and county, is that part of the finance audit is the secondary controls audit over Oracle and how technology is configured. So we've been working with Orbis on that particular piece for Douglas County. And also the team's continuing education, and part of that was attending a conference a couple weeks ago in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And a couple of takeaways from that are just reminders of things that we were already working on, but good to have anyway. It's, passwords are becoming increasingly less important, less secure. Having that multi-factor authentication is really important. So you guys have seen that as part of the MFA migration that we did for VPN, but we're going to expand that. We've actually through grant multi-factor.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm full of acronyms.
That's the text message that says put this code in.
Yeah.
Okay. Multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. So through grant funding, we
We
got.
usually catch the acronyms, so that one's
I got VPN.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yep. We've got physical USB keys that we've got that are a more secure way of doing that. So when you think about multi-factor, how a bank would reach out to you, maybe through a phone call, or how you would do it to connect to the various systems, there's different levels of security. And the physical key is one of the most highest levels. It's one of the best options for that. So we've got plans to deploy those to city, county employees in specific areas, which we think are going to be the highest level of return. So.
Backwards, like an actual,
Yeah, so you have your username and password, and in addition to that, you have physically plug in a key, just like a little.
I can keep up.
And, yep. So, any other questions on? The other item that we've got is was cybersecurity awareness month. That's a big thing we emphasize every year. We've already sent out a couple of quick tip emails this year, trying to focus in on little tiny items. But specifically, the area that we're trying to really emphasize is data loss prevention. Specifically, other things people can do to safeguard themselves on internet websites and other items without specifically mentioning big acronyms. We want to be able to send them quick things that they can easily remember. But on top of that, we're also had October 4th, we had a meeting with city and county, both legal representation and HR, to talk about artificial intelligence. Dan, when he was in here, just had mentioned, he queued me up pretty good, just all the AI discussion that's in all these different conferences. And so from an overview, DOTCOMM is seeing this no different than other technology that we work with. It's something new that we're working with. And it's really the generative AI, that artificial intelligence that creates product that's really changing things for the way the city county works. So if you can think of ChatGPT, if you've heard of that particular product, or other types of items that Google or Apple or any of those providers have created, it's really being able to create a product. And I'm sure Dr. Chen has to be worried about if the students are creating real product anymore, or actually, or just going out to one of these search engines. We've seen it creating grants, providing product, emails and agendas. There's a lot of use cases in government because there's a lot of data out there and some templates that are easy for it to recreate. So our goal when talking to that team was to educate them about what the technology was and DOTCOMM's stance on that. And that is that we're here to help with whatever they need. If we want to shut that down, we're okay with that. Otherwise, we're here to let them know the pros and cons, and that any sort of policy changes would be a city or county handbook policy change. It wouldn't be specifically a DOTCOMM policy change. So that if you guys were to make a change, we would then just follow up with whatever we had to do to help you out with that. Just checking, make sure that this is here, and I think that's about all. Derek, any other?
No, I think you've covered it, Greg. I think this is a hot topic. Everyone wants to know about it, and we feel it's our duty to educate, to understand. And I think Greg did a really good job in this presentation. What is it? Defining the iterations of it. Why is this different than it was a year ago or 2 years ago? I think what we also forget is that it's already part of everything we do. Every time we type an email, there's an AI finishing your sentence. Right? This isn't new. What is new is frankly, the legal and HR ramifications of if you enter our data or personal or confidential information of a city or county employee or a constituent into one of these, it's out in the wild, right? And so it's something we need to think about differently than we may have in the past. We have the full power of all of our suite of tools to shut down websites if we don't want people going to them. But more importantly, that education aspect. Don't panic. We'll figure this out. We'll move through it just like we have every iteration of technology as it comes along. But we need to be thoughtful about it. And Greg did a really good job of presenting that. And we'll continue to do that. This is kind of one of those things we're going to talk about a lot. So we've got a kind of pre-canned presentation that we can go talk to anybody in city county government about what's available and what our options are. But Greg hit the nail on the head. It's a policy decision on a technology issue, right? It's got to be, okay, what do we want our employees having access to or not? And we can help execute that, and we can offer an opinion on that as well. Anything else on projects?
No, but
On the ERP note, so we are on track to move our horrible egress requirement to that's getting to happen in February, March. And then we have a lot of patching going on right now. On the local side, we have the managed patches, job patches right now. Then on the import side, we have a lot of activities going on right now with integration from tax provider for the W4s, and then we also went live with Handlock on all new web stations here. Some of them went live this week. We're also looking to quick speed on getting all our info users there. And then we have Blue Cross Blue Shield, the interface, a lot that's been in progress for the provider. And we're now in the process of tracking data acquisition on the Oversight, that will get to start. In the process of negotiating with the sector on that project. And then added a member to the N14 to help us on the post timekeeping side. We had a gap there, so that strengthens our team and we're able to support our customers better.
Is that time clock feature with the fire department, is that a telestaff? Chronos Group?
No.
Oh, they went out? Okay.
We have two active projects. One is the collaborative interface and the application modernization node. We had a kickoff meeting. Well received. We got a lot of feedback on that. The focus of the application modernization is to look at our existing portfolio, run that portfolio to our framework analysis, and then look at it from the business drivers and the technical drivers like staff, complexity, compliance, ability to the agility, and business fit. And based on that, we come up with a kind of a profile score, and that kind of identify whether we want to remediate that application or replatform it or retire it. And then the other initiative as part of our modernization effort is empowering city and county users, basically looking at our framework of our digital services, which is modernizing our websites, making it responsive, given that 60+% of our users today are accessing those websites through mobile applications. So we want to make sure that all the sites are mobile ready, things like that, and enabling all the digital services, enhancing accessibility, things like that. On that front, for all our websites that are across the country. And the third part is on the data modernization. So all these applications that we run and support today, they generate a lot of data today. So a lot of data are sitting on a legacy platform. So it's looking at how we can harness that data, run it through a data pipeline, ingest that data, and then classify them, curate them, and make it available to any presentation layers, identify different performance indicators, make it available to harness that data so the departments can make data-driven decisions. So that's kind of the end game for that effort. That ties into our data visualization kind of project and task force as well. That modernization and the data visualization go hand in hand because recently we did implement a lot of new enhancements and stuff in the apps ecosystem with the release of OMS phase 1 for the new OMS platform that we built on AWS. And then last week we did the data integration for our property system for the printer's office there. And then we've been working with the EPA, the city's working with EPA for the last few years on the reg management system. We've put in a lot of enhancements there, so we've got a module for listing schools there. And then on the gateway side, we've kind of upgraded almost 150 applications and zero downtime, which is kind of remarkable to kind of follow that comment methodology, but that basically just make a copy of the production database real time, which cannot be upgraded one and switch over to the production one that causes a zero downtime ability. And on our content management system, we run Joomla today. We also support WordPress. So we are upgrading our existing Joomla sites and also putting some of those sites to the Joomla WordPress platform as well. And there's a lot of active projects right now on the pipeline, ready platform application side. And then on the data visualization task force, one of our key focus for this quarter is to sunset the Web Focus 7, which is end of life. So we have upgraded it to Web Focus 9. So most of that work is complete. Yeah, it's end of life September, October end of this month. We have a couple of processes that are running on that. Make sure we convert those as well. Those are on track to happen in the next week or two. And then we also have kick off for meeting with the visualization task force. And then we're kind of following the same methodology that we did for the action note here. Basically going through our portfolio of reports, which departments are using, capturing some metrics around that usage, then coming back with the recommendation. So we will be working with a lot of different departments, independently reviewing their usage of those reports. And some of them, as we go along in our modernization roadmap, all of them will get reported to the newer reporting platform. So we're trying to make it a reporting platform agnostic kind of a data layer, so you can use any presentation reporting tool to be able to make that data. So right now, we're tightening up on some of the reporting tools. And then on the document management side, Sean's team has been working with different departments here, creating a list of opportunities how those departments can leverage the existing document management systems that we have in this laser page DOTCOMM. So, and then they are also creating a retention kind of questionnaire that will depend on what type of documents, what kind of and storing in those systems, and what's the retention policy. So they're working, putting that questionnaire together. That we're working with the departments with the recommendation of that. And then on the, they're also kind of putting together marketing material of, or there are some departments that use those platforms. So have an education summary document where they can highlight visibility of skills and how they can best use to for those departments. So, like a lot of projects and right now on the document side, that's what case management, side thing. And they're eager to write out a couple of other projects.
All right. The last one here is the client experience conduit. So again, this conduit works across all of the client experience notes, the purple notes. Really the goal of that conduit is to make sure that you guys, the city and county, are represented. So up to this point, the focus has been on getting these task force staffed, getting people a representative group on them and communicating it, getting those kickoff meetings done. Going forward, it will be around communication, and some of these task force, the members have some to-dos, so they'll be working with city, county ITCs and those task force to make sure they're doing their to-dos. So that's about it.
Where they've known they're going to send out the city question.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I forgot that was on there. So you remember we did questionnaires and meetings with all of the county departments in the spring. And then we sent out kind of a summary of all of the work done and a questionnaire to all the city departments. We aren't doing meetings. We kind of, this was feedback from the city and county as far as how they wanted to do this. So we've sent out the questionnaires to all the city departments. And I think we've gotten some, it's been really good feedback so far. I'm going to send out a reminder here just one more time to get that back. But thank you to you guys for that.
One of the things we need to do according to our bylaws is put in a proposed schedule for 2024 prior to the end of the year. So here it is. It should look familiar. It looks exactly like this year. We've settled on kind of quarterly meetings. This is the first year we've done that. Feedback I've gotten is positive, and I think the right balance. We have a good substantive hour together once a quarter. I think the timing works well for us to kick off the year in January. We all know November, December get a little hairy in terms of vacations and everything anyway. So it worked pretty well, and we get all our major events, the audit, nominating and electing officers, and everything else. That being said, if anyone has any suggestions or would like to see a change to this, just reach out to myself or Sandy or that. We can change it as needed. And as you all know, we produce our packet of data and updates every month, regardless of the meeting. And we can call a meeting with them. If there's a topic that needs to come up, we can meet as often as needed. This is the published.
Angela, with this meeting, are the meetings always in this?
Always have that. Would you like a change?
No, I just couldn't remember where the Jesse Lowe's room was.
Right.
And finally, somebody was like, it's on 3, and so then I take the stairs to 3, and I can't, the doors are locked. Is that always locked?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I haven't noticed that on other floors, so then I'm like running back down to the elevator. Anyway,
Your first meeting was down.
yeah, it was down like behind the cafeteria.
That
Do you
was
remember
weird.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a scheduling issue.
And so, yeah, so I'm just like, okay, so
Yeah.
they're here and don't take the stairs.
Lori, my first week here, I was all over for this thing called the legislative chambers, right? I was like, that is not a thing. But then there's a button on the elevator that says LC, and I got on the elevator and like, LC, I'm like, how was I supposed to know that? There's a lot of that lingo. That being said, Sandy, I think we know about this public comment.
Okay, any public comments?
I mean, I can give a quick update on the email
Sure.
today. So, we have selected a consultant at RFM, and the SOW is in review now with county legal and city legal. I talked with county legal today, and I think that they would be finished making changes like by tomorrow if needed, but then they have to, get with city and coordinate and then take it back over to RSM. Are you on the city side?
Yes, I also spoke with my engineer's office.
Okay.
Rather than doing suggestions separately, we're doing my document, just to get more permission and follow it.
Are you going working with Liz?
Yeah, Dave Brown.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I just didn't have one on the city side. I thought maybe Bernard was handling it now.
Dave will primarily be handling it, and then I'll take two.
Okay. Anyway, but you guys have said, I think you're a little bit, you guys aren't gonna have it till next, maybe I think when I talk to Don, right?
It depends on when she gets to this, yeah. So either later tonight
Oh, all right.
or tomorrow is when we'll get it. Then we'll take a look at it and try and turn it into.
So as soon as we get back from RSM with all of our proposed changes, we'll throw it in front of the county board. We only need, their approval and blessing once, but it has to go through the city council. How many times that?
Yeah, it'll cost.
Okay.
It could be one resolution, or it could be an ordinance that requires 2 readings. It's money coming from the computer. It's weird.
Okay. Can we do it quick? So it's just. Okay. I'm trying, DJ. I'm trying. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's where we're at with that.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 3:30. Thank you all.